This show is sponsored by Primal Kitchen.
Today we are making orange sesame chicken with oven roasted broccoli and pea salad. Have your recipe? Let's get started. All right, so this one is definitely a little bit more coordinated than our last recipe with our Moroccan spice chicken, turkey. However, you're going to really like what happens here. We're going to start with putting our oven on 375 degrees to be roasting our broccoli today. And that is because it will be taking only about 12 to 15 minutes to do. The trick with your broccoli when you're oven roasting it is at 375 degrees. Anything hotter, you don't get to keep that same color and the same texture doesn't come out as when we are doing it at this temperature. So we have our broccoli crowns right here. We're going to clean them, right? So we have our baking soda water that we are cleaning in. We have our little bucket here ready to go. We're going to clean them up. We're going to let them drip dry. I say let them air dry, or if you want to get a paper towel and get them nice and dry that way, you may as well. Just kind of your option. However, you do want to clean your veggies. It's so important to get all those residues off. I did that with fresh picked strawberries one time, and the amount, and even though they were organic, the amount of dirt and residue that was on them was just quite interesting. So the broccoli, we need to have some granulated garlic, we have some pepper, we have some salt, and we're going to use our Primal Kitchen avocado oil. It just has this fabulous neutral flavor that just brings out the food's natural flavors, which is what we want in these days, right? So our broccoli florets. How do we cut a broccoli crown into a broccoli floret? Or even if you have the stems, take your chef knife, not a paring knife. Well, you know what? Let's play with that today. Let's use a paring knife. So baby knife, big knife, baby knife. We're gonna get little baby pieces. So what you can do is this. If you have a long stem on here, you can take your paring knife, baby knife, and we're going to cut right into where the floret is. Instead of cutting down or cutting over or slicing down, you can just take your paring knife and little by little, but did you notice I slipped right there? That can mean your finger. Or we can just take our chef knife and cut into it that way. Ta-da! And then we have all our little florets here. And we can trim down our stems with our paring knife at that point, if that's what you would like to do. And we were just going to pop them onto our sheet pan here. And actually, I'm going to take them off because I forgot. I wanted to share another little cooking tip that I have, is if we are using a spray oil, and I have our Primal Kitchen avocado oil spray right here. If we shoot that onto our pan, it adds that little extra crispness that might not happen other ways. What are you talking about, Adrienne? Well, you ever notice sometimes when you're roasting veggies, maybe there's a lot of moisture that's in them? One reason is maybe because you're overcrowding your pan, but it could also be just because there's more moisture in the veggies themselves. So put that little bit of oil down on the bottom. It makes all the difference. Let's get that other crown that's going on here. Look, I grabbed the paring knife, right? That's going to mean your fingers, and I don't want that to happen to you. So we can break these down, just like this, right? And then at this point where we have this stem, that's when we can pull out our other knife. However, then that's two knives you have to clean afterwards, which maybe isn't a lot of fun for you unless you find cleaning therapeutic, in which case, knock yourself out. So I'm breaking these up a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of salt over them, la la la. We're gonna put a little bit of garlic, granulated garlic on this batch. My favorite way to do oven roasted broccoli is with oregano. You can put whatever seasonings you want. These are just base foundation recipes for you to be doing. We have our Primal Kitchen avocado oil that we're going to drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. And then we are going to massage our broccoli and tell it how wonderful it tastes. I have gotten lazy many times when I'm oven roasting my broccoli and just drizzled everything on tossed it maybe once and then put it into the oven to cook, and you just don't get the same flavors. Plus, this is a stress reliever. It's like, oh my gosh, today was crazy. Get all that stress out while making your food taste good. And let's pop this in the oven. 12 minutes. Let's find things. We'll go up to 12 minutes on here. Look at that, it's magic. And off we go. Wash our hands because we don't want to be having slippery knives, right? Rinse them off. Dry them off. We can clean our knife here. We can get our broccoli off here, like that. And now we're going to get to our chicken. I was about to say kitchen. We're going to get to our chicken now. So you can use chicken tenders, and that way you don't have to touch the raw chicken except for once when you're putting it into your pan. Or maybe you don't want the chicken tenders with having that little piece of gristle in there. So I am using chicken breasts today. We're going to put them on our cutting board. Raw hand, clean hand. Raw hand, clean hand. You can use a chef knife, you can use a fillet knife. And you can also buy chicken cutlets. Again, I took the breasts just to show you what to do. Maybe you don't have a fillet knife, and I didn't bother to use one today because I'm going with what you have in your kitchen. So here is our chicken breast. We are going to take our knife, and there's something called a butcher's thumb. I learned this in culinary school from my meat cutting teacher. When you put your thumb on your knife when you're cutting meat, it gives you extra strength or extra pressure and makes cutting much easier to do. So I'm using my butcher's thumb. I'm putting my hand flat on top of this cut on this chicken breast, and I'm just going to cut it in half. Okay? Like so. Da-da-da-da. And we're going to move this cutting board around so that way you're not having to cut and touch more raw meat than you have to. And we're going to do that again. So we now have 4 servings of chicken. Yay! And now I'm going to wash my hands, and we're going to wash the knife now, and then we're going to start heating up our pan. We're going to be cooking our chicken. Here we go. Make sure we're clean. Make sure we're not creating any salmonella issues whatsoever, right? Now be careful, if you start using a towel that is then wet, you don't want to use it with anything hot. So we are turning our pan on medium high. We are going to put some of our Primal Kitchen avocado oil into the pan. Da-da-da-da. And we want to see when our pan is hot. We can just put our hand over the pan itself. The other thing you want to watch for is for the oil to become a little shimmery, as I like to call it. Once your oil is hot, then is when you're going to put your meat in. Otherwise, your meat sticks. Okay? So actually, there we go. We got the shimmery going on. And we talk about getting our sauce ingredients after we have our chicken cooking, all right? So we're going to put our chicken in. Be careful, gently, gently. I did not season this chicken ahead of time. If you want to put salt and pepper on it, you certainly may. If you notice, I'm putting the thickest part in the middle, and that way it's going to cook evenly. Chicken hands, chicken cutting board, clean it up. Clean as you go. We're good with that. We're going to need another cutting board here because we have some shallots to cut, and we also have our green onions to cut, as well as our oranges for our sauce. We're going to add our salt now. We're going to wait to add our pepper until the end. We're going to lower the heat just a little bit there. So what comes next is we're going to make our sauce. So we have our oranges for our orange sesame, right? And with our sauce, which is on the other side, we need to have honey, arrowroot, coconut aminos, lemon juice, and either water or coconut broth. So what I like to do is I like to put the arrowroot directly into my juicer just because it's going to make cleaning it or mixing it up that much faster. And I'm going to put my lemon juice in now. If I can open this. Fresh lemon is always best, but if you don't have fresh lemons around, then what, right? And we have coconut aminos. You can totally use soy if you want to use soy instead. So many people have issues with soy, and that's why we're not using that right now, and we're using some honey. Do you have to have the honey in your sauce? Absolutely not. It's not that necessary. Okay? So if we notice our chicken is beginning to cook halfway through, you notice that because the edges are becoming opaque, right? So we're going to let that just cook for another second while we juice our oranges. Do you have to use fresh oranges when you're making this sauce? My answer is yes. It really makes a difference. You can totally use orange juice if you want to, but the flavor is so much different. I'm even using the Cara oranges this time. We also want to have our garlic and our ginger. Not sure if you're familiar with ginger. This is ginger root, and we have some garlic cloves. And what I did is I put a little bit of salt here on my cutting board. And with that, that's where I'm placing my ginger, and that is where I'm placing my garlic to mince together. So the thing with ginger is that sometimes it can be a little bit fibrous, I guess, and it really depends on how you cut the root. We're going to take a second, and we're going to flip this chicken. You're going to see this guy isn't cooking as fast as the others, so what I'm going to do, and this can happen with your pan too, it really depends on hot spots with your pan. So I'm going to shift these pieces around to get this other guy cooking here. Okay? And now we'll go back to mincing up our ginger and our garlic, because we're going to add that over here with our chicken, and it's going to be super yummy. I keep it chunky. You could also just put it in a mini chopper. Your other option that you could do with it is to use powdered ginger and powdered garlic and get the same flavor, which I've had many people do, and they're quite happy with it. At this point, I'm also going to hit our sesame seeds in here, and that's going to help it toast and get those flavors out. The other way you could do it is to toast your sesame seeds separate. I always burn them when that happens. We're going to be adding some green onion at the end just because it really does give it a nice flavor. You need to wash these as well. We'll let that drippy drip for a minute. And then our dressing here, we're going to mix up. How's our timer going? We have a couple more minutes on our broccoli here. And we have a pea salad that we're adding to this as well. And when we do our pea salad, we are going to add Primal Kitchen's ranch dressing. Who knew that ranch dressing could have such good flavor with our pea salad? It boosts that regular sour cream and cream cheese that cannot. Made with Primal ingredients like avocado oil and cage-free eggs for a creamy flavor that tastes homemade, it gives your pea salad the not so humdrum pea salad flavor anymore. We have our sauce here. We're going to pour this over our chicken. The arrowroot is going to help make this stick. So we're going to turn the heat off and just let the carryover cooking take care of itself while we make our pea salad. You should have had your peas defrosting overnight. So we're going to take these guys and put them into a bowl. And we have a shallot. I don't know if you're familiar with what shallots look like, or a shallot, depending on your mood. It's almost like jumbo garlic is kind of what it looks like. So we're just going to cut this guy. We're going to cut the tips and the ends off. Is this the way you're supposed to cut an onion? Absolutely not. It is a chef's nightmare for you to use and cut an onion of any sort that way, because you can cut yourself even worse. However, are we going to have a knife cutting lesson right now? Kind of, maybe, just a little bit. Let's take this skin off, like so. We really don't want to take any layers off because then you're losing the food, right? So there's our shallot. And what we're going to do, or our shallot, we're going to cut it in half again. I am having you do this at home. And we're going to make little thin slices with our chef knife. Paring knife really doesn't work like that. So see, we're just cutting thin slices this way. And then we're going to make our small dices. Now look what happened. I just slipped all over the place, and that's how you hurt yourself. So that is why this is how you don't really want to. You normally leave the end of the shallot on, because otherwise you can hurt yourself. See, now we're not going to have nice ends. We're going to have different sizes. So that's where you just kind of go, whatever. And it's done, right? However, you're going to have the nice flavors going on. So let's put that there, and we're going to take a moment to take our broccoli out of the oven. Look at this. Crisp, bright, yummy. So with our pea salad, we need to add a little dash or a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. This really gives it a lot of flavor. I don't know if you're familiar with white pepper or not, but it does have a spiciness almost to it. And then we're going to take our mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of our Primal Kitchen avocado mayonnaise made with free-range cage-free eggs. And since I'm using a super large spoon here, I'm just going to use, it's a serving spoon, I'm going to use just 1 spoonful there. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of our Primal Kitchen ranch dressing with avocado oil. There is a pop of dill that is in this, reminiscent of old school ranch dressing from back in the 70s. And again, the flavor just makes me super happy. And we're going to put some sliced almonds in here. Do you have to use almonds? No, you don't have to use almonds, but again, texture-wise, it just works really well. And then we can put a little dash of some Himalayan salt, right? Yum. And of course, we're going to have to taste this as we get this all together, right? So let's taste to make sure that we have all the seasonings proper in here. Yum. Yum, yum. So we have our pea salad. And we get our chicken. So the broccoli, you can put around the chicken if you want, or maybe somebody doesn't want the orange sauce. So I'm not going to put the broccoli with the chicken today. Normally I really like to marry all these flavors together. But maybe somebody, again, doesn't like the broccoli. Maybe somebody doesn't like the ginger. So we can keep it separate. Let's try our broccoli. Yum. So with our meal today, if you partake of the wine, we have these fabulous PRP wines that are preservative-free, no added sulfites. We have an unoaked Chardonnay with a bouquet that is aromatic with hints of citrus fruits. And we also have a red Umea, which has aromas of cherry, raspberry, strawberry, and a hint of elderberry. They're complex enough to play with the flavors that we have today. You can contact Rosie at the QR code and get some PRP wines. Just to finish this off, like I said, we do not have to have the green onion. However, green onion just has its own little flavor to it. I know that we have our shallot that we are using in our peas. However, besides adding that pretty little garnish, the flavor that this adds, you're really gonna like it. Thank you very much for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Stay tuned for next week's grocery list and meal, right after Caring for the Community.
And here we are back with talking about caring about our community. And for me, when I think about caring about my community, it goes to our nonprofits. And today we have with us Tammy Kent, who is the Executive Director of No More. Tammy, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, human trafficking is a hot button that's out there, right? However, definitions of what it is and the awareness of it and what you're doing with No More is really amazing. And so I appreciate so much for you to be here today. So my question for you is, how is the housing crisis affecting victims of human trafficking? And how can the community help solve it? I mean, what is the connection between poverty and vulnerability and exploitation?
Well, there are so many ways that we could start this conversation, but ultimately how you ended is a perfect launching pad. what I couldn't put into words 13 years ago when we launched No More, I can clearly articulate now. Where you find communities living below the poverty line, families struggling to put food on the table, there you find vulnerability. In communities struggling in poverty, you see greater numbers as far as homelessness, addiction. You see children removed from their homes due to abuse, yes, but neglect and abandonment sometimes because families just can't hold it together. It's a struggle. And where those vulnerabilities exist, exploitation occurs. The most vulnerable for becoming victims of human trafficking in our country and around the world are children without families. And most people don't see those connections and don't know how to respond. And one thing we say at No More is, we believe that community transformation is found at the intersection where awareness and mobilization meet. Because we believe when people are educated and they understand what's happening, and they're empowered to do something and given those next right steps, most people want to do something, they just don't know what they don't know. And it's our job to help make that happen because together we can solve the crisis.
Right, and that's something years ago when I first learned about No More, and you're right, it is about education and letting people know. And so that brings us to our next question is, how does caring for orphans and at-risk children in foster care prevent human trafficking?
Well, what people don't realize is nationwide, I want to say the most recent statistic was that 65% of human trafficking victims have a history in the foster care system. And so we can prevent human trafficking by stepping in to care for those kiddos when they need a home, when they need a safe and loving and committed home. Many of those kiddos have families that want to take care of them, but like I said, due to the economy or circumstances that are beyond the children's control. The families are trying to get it together and they just need a safe place to land. They need people that will speak life into them. And it's not just signing up to be a foster parent. I mean, you can mentor a child. You can become an advocate in the justice system. You can donate 2 hours a week. I mean, there are so many ways that people can get involved. And you talked earlier about the housing crisis. I mean, the housing crisis for children right now is at a high, but the housing crisis for trafficking victims is also at a high. Here in the greater Tampa Bay area, several years back, we took a poll of all the organizations that were supporting survivors of trafficking and found that 152 women, verified victims of human trafficking, had been turned away from the housing and support services they needed because there just weren't enough beds.
Wow.
And so for us as an organization, to that we were like, no more. Like we can find the houses, we can find the homes. And in the last 4 years, we've added homes, we've added beds, we've tripled the number of beds for survivors in greater Tampa Bay. We're getting ready to open a survivor home in Hillsborough County this summer, again, adding another 8 beds. We believe Florida should be on the forefront, leading the way. We have so many amazing organizations and we can do it.
I love it, Tammy. So really quick now, how can businesses and individuals engage with No More? Directly.
Absolutely.
Do we have a website? Do we have,
yes,
what can we do?
You can head to our website at declarenomore.com. Find us on all the socials at @declarenomore. Honestly, no money, no mission. And so we need the support of local business owners. We have amazing partner organizations that are on the ground, but there is something that everyone can do. And so if you want to sign your company up to volunteer, if you want to learn, if you want to take a training as to bring a training to you, we'll do whatever it takes to help engage you in caring for the community. From kids to survivors of trafficking to families living below the poverty line, we want to be that connector piece. And so we would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Tammy, so much. Really appreciate you being
for
here. No more.
DeclareNoMore.com.
DeclareNoMore.org.com. Yes, thank you.
DeclareNoMore.com. 3 times the charm.
I made the mistake, so this way everybody gets it right.
That's all right. That's all right. I love it. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
Join us next week to make sheet pan chicken souvlaki. Today's show is sponsored by Primal Kitchen. With just a drizzle, dollop, or spread of Primal Kitchen, your meals will be packed with premium ingredients and elevated flavor. Find their fabulous sauces at primalkitchen.com, Target, Sprouts, Whole Foods, Walmart, and Kroger. And remember to visit primalkitchen.com to see the latest specials they're offering. Primal Kitchen is the food whisperer's go-to for recipe inspiration to make a meal with real high-quality ingredients. Today's segment sponsor is Cargacca Services. where family values and contracting expertise unite. Contact Carlos today to start building your dream into a reality at cargaca@yahoo.com. Give him a call at 813-735-8502.